So we got ready for the last trip in to the island, and the Navy had these barges they take us in on, and they were in a big hurry to get out of there. They made me wade in with water almost up to my waist, and they pulled out quick, and I didn't know why, but as soon as I got onto the beach, I could see why they were in such a hurry. There were shells exploding all around me, and so I was scared, and I didn't have time to dig a foxhole. There were a lot of, there were mortars, not big shells, but they were certainly lethal. And so I looked around, and there was a big foxhole, and there was a soldier already in it, but there was room for me, and I didn't ask him, I just jumped in behind him. And so they kept peppering this beachhead. Unfortunately, when the mortar shells would explode and we were getting down in the foxhole, why the pieces of shell would go over the top of our heads. And anyway, I started talking to the guy, asked him how long he'd been there and if he had any trouble and all, and he didn't say anything. And finally I kind of jerked him around after I'd talked to him a while, and I looked at him and he was dead already. And so anyway, I was grateful to him. He dug that foxhole for me, and I kind of huddled up behind him too all night long. Those shells were exploding, and I was grateful to have even a dead man to have a foxhole with. Next morning, they stopped shelling the beach. And I was lost, though. I didn't know where my unit was. And so I started to go down the beach, just hoping I'd find him. And the colonel came along in his Jeep and said, "Get on and I'll take you." But he was kind of a character, and he wanted to explore the whole battlefield. And so he went up the whole, there was a big, long incline plane where the infantry had taken that the day before, and we drove up to the top and over the hill, and the battle was just still going on just over the hill. And I says, well, I was hoping he'd get out of there. Anyway, we did, and he came back, and he had to dodge around all the dead bodies. It was just dead bodies everywhere. The infantry had a very difficult time. We got back to my unit, and we shot shells for the duration of the war on Saipan, and we were shooting over the head of the infantry into the enemy. And the battle went on for a little over 3 weeks, and then the infantry said they had secured the island, but they had lost a lot of men, and at this island, or this battle, we weren't attached to the 7th Army Division like we were in the Marshall Islands. We were attached to a Marine division. It was the Marines that really went in and did all the dirty work on this operation. And we didn't quite feel like a Marine, but it was nice to be with them. And so after the battle was concluded, or they said it was secure, why, we thought we'd get a little rest, and we really didn't. They immediately had us move our guns, and they moved our guns and went down to the end of the island, and then they had us shoot over onto another island. And we did that for several days. And then they told us we're going to invade that island tonight, and they gave us all pills to keep us, so we could keep awake all night. And we went in and got in okay without any trouble. and set our guns up. And the next morning, we started shooting our guns, and we looked, and the engineers were already there. The battle was just in the infancy stage, and the engineers were there with their big tractors and bulldozers, and they were grading out the area. And this Tinian was a nice flat island, and we didn't know what they were doing when we first got there. But actually they were grading off a runway, a huge runway, and the island's name was Tinian. And of course we didn't know this at the time, but it was a huge runway, and we had never seen a runway so big. And they were making it for the new B-29 bombers. And of course that's where the B-29 bombers took off with the atom bomb from this runway on Tinian and bombed Japan, and of course that's what stopped the war. But it didn't happen right away, it took a while. So we stayed on the island of Tinian a little while, and while they were building this runway. And the Japanese had dug cellars, and they had put all kinds of lobster meat, canned lobster, canned crab, and shrimp in these places, and sake, bottles of sake, their alcoholic beverage. And we got into all that stuff, and we really enjoyed the lobster, the crab meat, and some of the boys got into we had warned about this, and some of them got into the alcohol, and which they had been warned not to do it. And one afternoon I was standing there and just talking to a couple of my friends, soldiers, and one of them said to me, "You better get out of here, quick." I says, "Why?" And he says, "Because so-and-so," he gave me the name, he wants to kill you. And I don't know, gee. And, I looked down in the distance a little ways, and here's this guy's coming. He got his rifle up here. And he says, "I'm going to kill that first sergeant." And he kept saying that. And I would like to have hidden, but I couldn't do that. I had lost all respect to the men, and so I took a deep breath, and I unbuckled my holster on my gun in case I had to take it out. And I walked up to him, and when I got close to him, I could see he was totally drunk. And I was able to grab the gun away from him. And I told him to go back to his bunk, and that if he was okay on the next morning, I'd give him his gun back. And I could have had him court-martialed very severely, but I didn't do it. And he was okay after that. And he didn't threaten to kill me anymore. And so anyway, shortly after that, why, they put us on a boat, and we went to the Philippine Islands. Now, they'd already started invading the Philippine Islands under General MacArthur. And we were then attached to the 24th Army Corps, which is a group of quite a few divisions together. And but we were under the direct direction of the 24th Corps, which was under the direction of General MacArthur. And so